This is a tough one, you guys. I'm a little scared for this video. We got a lot of talks about and it's a little bit confusing, Blitz. People thought you were dead in the last video because you were just sleeping the whole time. Oh my God, he's not sleeping anymore. You guys have signed up for this video that talks all about these guys right here. These guys that like to move all over the place. We need to talk about a few things you need to do for muscle ups, whether you're working on getting your first ring muscle up, improving your ring muscle up. Ow! What was I talking about? Oh, muscle ups with a false grip and then want to get to getting rid of that nasty false grip. So we're going to talk about all of it. And the big thing I can probably start with is telling you guys you need both tools in your tool bag. Meaning we want to be able to use and have false grip when we need it for certain things like strict muscle ups or learning muscle ups. And then when I get really comfortable on the rings, it's probably gonna be a good idea to get rid of that guy so you're a lot more comfortable and can hit some bigger swings. It's Taco about it. Can you guys see me? Hi. Let's look at these. Strict ring muscle up, a false grip, kipping ring muscle up, and then finally a regular kipping ring muscle up. There's a reason why having the skill of a ring muscle up is a very prestigious skill in our little fitness world over here. It's a lot. It's a beautiful display of strength, skill, coordination, not to mention there's a little bit of a fear factor being in there up on those high rings. And sometimes it's hard to know where to start. And even it's a pretty challenging skill to coach. So whether you're an athlete or coach watching this video, I hope these little pointers that I give you guys helps you out no matter what side you're looking at it from. When it comes to putting like requirements on this skill, a solid set of 5 to 8 strict pull-ups and then the same 5 to 8 strict dips. When we describe a ring muscle up, especially in its strict form, we call it your highest pulling pull-up into your deepest dip. That means there's no getting to this skill unless you've built a strong foundation of pushing and pulling. But the biggest thing when we start talking about this fancy skill and how these guys move all over the place is safety. Not many people have gotten on top of rings like this that move around. Maybe if you were a male gymnast, you'll have a leg up on people when it comes to this implement. But even me with my gymnastics background, women gymnasts don't do rings. So this skill actually took me quite a bit to learn. So be patient. We have a long way to go, and let's talk about starting places. The big question, especially in CrossFit, strict versus kipping. What should you do? What's better? There's a time and a place for both. They have benefits to both. If you've taken a peek at some of my programs, you might have found one of the oldest ones on there is a kipping ring muscle up program. But it takes you guys through a lot of low ring work, strict work, strength development through bottom support and top of support, being able to stabilize yourself on the rings. And it starts everyone and finishes everyone by learning muscle ups in a false grip. Time to go over to the low rings. When you start learning how to move through ring muscle ups on the rings, your coach will probably take you through false grip. And you will probably hate them for taking you through false grip because there is no way around it. It sucks. That's why in the end of this video, we're gonna show you guys how to get out of false grip. But there's a couple reasons you wanna take almost this gooseneck death grip onto these rings right here, where your wrist sits on top of the rings like this, and you hold it there as you're making your way through the whole muscle up. Tip, tape up your wrists. Not only is it gonna help all the ouchies that come with learning false grip, it's gonna help give you a little bit more stickiness towards the rings. So tape up your wrists. I usually like regular athletic tape, but I don't have any right now. Here's the reasons why we want to learn false grip. One, a lot of us that don't have a gymnastics background don't know how to shift your hands from the bottom of the rings to the top of the rings. And what that means is if you take a normal grip, a neutral grip on the rings, and you try to move to the top or even up on a pull-up bar too, your hands stay under the rings or the bar like so. And to get to the top, you have to shift or move your hands, meaning you can't death grip. You have to shift and move your hands towards the top to be able to land on top of the rings or the bar. That is pretty tricky to learn, and actually you start to naturally learn it once you get more and more reps of gymnastics in it. It's something that kind of just starts to come along as you get more comfortable on bars and rings. Your hands start on top of the rings, and then they're gonna finish on top of the rings. You don't have to worry about moving your hands or motorcycle shifting your hands from the bottom to the top. The big one that I don't think a lot of people understand why false grip is so important to learn at first is it puts huge stretch on your whole chain of your arms right here and gets all the way into your lats. Your lats, I've said it in many videos before, are your wings for gymnastics. These big guys back here help control all of your gymnastics and strengthen, make your gymnastics more powerful as they get stronger. You try to hang in that false grip, it puts those lats immediately on tension because you're almost like death gripping the rings. It's got all of this on stretch right here. If I'm more in that neutral grip and kind of just hanging out right here, I can get away with looser shoulders or being more relaxed, which does help you in the end when you're trying to be more efficient. But while you're learning ring muscle ups, you actually want to use that grip to help you strengthen all of this. Who doesn't want more strength? Use that grip to get stronger. Also, man, here's another reason for using false grip or learning in false grip. When you go to turn over on these rings, it's gonna help you stay nice and tight to the rings so you are very stable in this bottom support. When everything stays nice and tight to your body, receiving your body weight at the bottom of this ring dip is gonna feel a lot nicer. It's gonna go from here to here. If you've ever seen people learn ring muscle ups, yes, it does happen. It's gonna happen to you once or twice when you learn this skill. You're gonna get the shakiness in the beginning until you get stronger and more familiar with the skill. Those three things are an absolutely big deal for using false grip when you first learn your ring muscle ups. Not having to shift your hands, strengthening your lats right here so you can do stronger pulls, and the safety of landing in your bottom support. Let's look a little closer at this. The wrists are sitting on top of the rings. Almost I'm arm wrestling the rings. Your hands are at the bottom of the rings, not sitting on the top, at the bottom of the rings. Start in a hang right here. If you feel like you can't extend your elbows or straighten out your elbows right here, you can flare your hands. That'll help you get your elbows straight. From here, remember I told you this is a very, very big pull-up. I want to think I'm using those strong lats and pulling my hands to my sternum and close. We say fist bump at your chest. This is a good example, fist bump at your chest. Good. Bad example, I'm not fist bumping at my sternum. And that's what will happen when you go for your first strict ring muscle ups out there. You'll try to start turning over without finishing your really, really high pull up. That being said, if you're at the beginning stages of learning a ring muscle up, ring pull ups, hanging from the tall rings, pulling to your chest, do lots of them. Lots of them. Lots of them. So after we finish that big pull-up to my chest, you guys can already see my shoulders are way up next to the rings. Here comes the tricky part. You're still using false grip, so you don't have to worry about moving your hands too much, but they are gonna go from the front of you to your armpits, to where you need that deep, deep dip. So here we go. I did the pull-up. Now I'm gonna draw my hands under my sports bra right here, or under my pec line, and start pulling my rings to my armpits, where I'm gonna land in this really, really deep dip. If you have tight shoulders, my really strong dudes out there, typically it's dudes that I gotta talk to. If you got really tight shoulders, really tight pecs, because you're awesome at bench press and pressing like that, you need to stretch. The more you can get into this really deep bottom support right here, not up here, down here, the better off you're gonna be for your rings. I gotta draw that line under my sports bra, under my pec line to create the transition. Pull to my sternum, draw the line, point my chest down to the ground. That's the fancy, tricky part of getting on top of the rings. And then after here, obviously you made it to the part where you have to do the ring dip. Do lots and lots of ring dips. What did we say? Highest pull-up into deepest dip. I was one of those athletes that could make the turnover because I come from a gymnastics background and I have a lot of coordination, I have a lot of body control and knew how to get myself on top of the rings. But what would limit me for the longest time is actually my strength through my dip. I'm kind of a weaker presser. So what did we do to get better at ring muscle ups? I did like 5,000 dips a week. It's horrible, but it's so worth it because it makes all of this so much better. It makes your stability better. Do all your ring pull-ups, do all your ring dips, and add this to it, lots of bottom supports, lots of two support, or top of the rings right here. Like 10-second holds at a time. So you get rid of all the shakies that come with learning how to control these rings. So what happens when I start taking this up to the high rings? How do I get what I was doing on those low rings to translate nicely to these super tall rings up here? We need to remember the steps. Your high pull-up in your false grip goes to your sternum. Fist bump at your sternum. I draw the line from my chest under my pec line to my armpits where I land in that deep, deep bottom support, and there's my really deep ring dip. High pull up to my armpits, deep dip. Wow, it's that simple, right? When it comes to strict movements, strict is strict. You gotta build up a lot of strict strength, lots of them. Here's something awesome you can do. You can come back to your low rings to start, put your tippy toes on the ground, and work through your steps backwards from deep, deep bottom support to fist bump at your chest, and then all the way back to full extension to make an eccentric movement. That's a great way to build strength. When you get good at that, maybe you take 1 foot or both feet off of the ground and see if you can hit a really slow eccentric like so. If you can control that eccentric, you probably got your ring muscle up and you're just missing a little bit of technique. Get to where you can jump up on the high rings to your bottom support and work through an eccentric negative muscle up for quite a few reps. Those are challenging. All right, come here, you guys. Come here. Come here. Hi, buddy. That's gonna get you far. Trusting that building your foundation on something like a ring muscle up is so crucial because obviously we want to stay safe on top of the rings. But this is a very complex skill and a lot's going to be happening. When we can not only understand the moving parts, but also have the confidence in my strength to be able to go for it when it's time, is gonna be a big deal. You can't be a chicken when it comes to flying up on these rings, so you gotta have a lot of confidence in the steps that you've taken to get to this point. Here's the exciting stuff, is getting out of false grip. Maybe you get your first strict ring muscle up. That's excellent. You're above and beyond where you need to be right now. Or maybe you're just getting really close. If you're getting really confident in your pulling and really confident in bottom supports, let's go to this middle step of adding a little bit of a kipping swing into a false grip muscle up. Here we go. My box is set up like this. What I'm gonna do right here is I'm actually not even gonna start in full extension. I'm gonna hold my false grip, go through all the steps I know how to do to get myself transitioning and landing on top of the rings. Here we go. Bam. What I love about that, even though it's not a true first ring muscle up because you do have to start from full extension, is when I did all that, I felt so secure. Everything stayed really close to my body and there was no bobbles all over the place. I felt really strong, really safe on top of the rings, and went through all of my steps that I already learned when I was on the low rings. Now this is where a few of you guys might be. Maybe you got some false grip ring muscle ups, some true false grip ring muscle ups, where I start from full extension, add that little kipping swing in, and now I'm feeling really good, using a little bit of momentum to get on top of the rings, and that is excellent. Congrats on your true ring muscle up, starting from full extension, getting all the way to the top of the rings. But pretty quickly, you'll figure out, after you get quite a few reps right there, it's very hard to hold big sets of muscle ups when trying to use that false grip. It's uncomfortable, you're gonna start slipping out of it, and then that usually means if I'm trying to get more muscle ups at a time, but the thing that's limiting me is my false grip, here comes the fun stuff. Let's chuck that thing. Let's start getting rid of that false grip. So, perks of not using a false grip is the biggest one. You can use a bigger kipping swing. You can go all the way to this guy. Big kip and swing, a lot of momentum to help you be more efficient. You don't have the ouchies that come with false grip. But I will say, there's different rules when you let go of false grip that come to doing ring muscle ups in a neutral grip. If you think back to the beginning of this video, we talked about the things false grip gives you. It gets you already on top of the rings, which means you don't have to shift your hands. When you let go of that, you're gonna have to start shifting your hands. Excuse me, I got the hiccup burps right now and I don't know why. 2, big one. We talked about how holding a false grip already puts all of this on tension. When you let go of your false grip, your shoulders are gonna be able to relax a little bit more, but it's gonna be extra difficult to engage your lats because you're just holding a neutral grip right here. Look at when I'm just standing right here, if I do this. You can already see my lats start to flare like that by just simply moving my hand. So when I move to a neutral grip, you guys are gonna have to learn how to keep tension on the rings. This is how you do it. When you hop up on the rings, you have to keep your ears covered. It is very much the opposite of kipping on a standard pull-up bar. The pull-up bar doesn't move. These rings move all over the place. That means you have to go with the rings to keep tension. When I swing forwards into my arch, my hands go with me. When I swing back into my hollow, my hands go with me. The biggest cue a lot of people take into big sets of kipping ring muscle up is this: pull the rings back, 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 back. That's how I create tension. Let's go back to the low rings. I would be lying if I said this video wasn't exhausting me, but it's for you guys. We can do this. Pulling back on the rings creates tension. Watch how if I do this drill on the low rings, which is just pulling back, it kind of like lifts my body up, right? The rings are going back behind my head. It's lifting up my body. So when I go to turn over, the rings are back, and I go to sit up and over, I'm gonna be able to catch the rings. If I do not pull the rings back, and I try to sit up like this, the rings are just gonna keep going forward, and you will never catch up to them. Never, never. It's a lost dream. The rings just keep going. And it's like a nightmare where you're just like, come back. Why can't I catch you? Pull back on the rings to create tension. What that's gonna do is make those straps feel really, really stiff back here. So when I go to do my fast sit up and over, I'm gonna be able to catch those rings. Let's go back to the rings. Y'all ready to see this thing? Here we go. No false grip, neutral grip, kipping ring muscle up, focus on pulling back. Here we go. Oh, that's so much nicer than false grip. It feels glorious. But if you slowed that down, you would see the rings move back behind my head as I go to extend my hips up to the rings. And then I like to say this especially when I get fatigued, when I get tired. Punch down on the rings. It's that same turnover. I'm almost pushing the rings, punching the rings down to my hips so they stay right next to my sides so I feel really strong and really secure and really fast on the turnover. Let's look at a set. Pull back, punch down. And I think you guys can actually hear it probably through my mic. Those straps are really tightening up when I pull back and punch down. If you can't hear that, you're probably either really, really slow or not keeping as much tension as you could on the rings. My advice, if you're kind of in that stage of I'm working my way out of false grip and getting into a neutral grip ring muscle up, is one way you can try to start training that might be a little quick hack. You're still gonna have to go back to drill work and do some of this pull back drill work stuff, is start loosening up your false grip a little bit. You can make it almost, you can start from your blocks and make it almost like a pseudo grip to where you just start sliding out of that false grip a little bit so you can learn a little bit of small shifting and get used to it that way. But I promise you, once you get to your neutral grip right here, you're gonna have to start learning some big kipping swings where you're pulling back, like so. So drill number 1, kipping swings, and drill number 2, we'll be back on those low rings to work on that pull back drill. Pull back, sit up and over, and that's gonna get you to your big sets of kipping ring muscle ups, as long as you do a lot of reps, a lot of practice. Don't just think it's gonna magically come to you, guys. You have to earn this skill, just like any skill, but this is a very complex skill, and there's a reason it's a very prestigious skill, because you have to do a lot of things to earn this guy. Do it. I'm excited for you guys. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and if this video helped you guys. I keep running out of phone storage. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys later. Bye, love you.